Right now, there are exactly 472 steps between you and the room where they're going to kill you. You've counted them twice. You count them every time they walk you down this hall because counting is the only thing left that your body still gets to decide. In 18 days, a doctor you've never met will stand behind a glass wall and stop your heart with your family watching. And the last thing you'll smell is the disinfectant they clean the table with. You are not a monster. That's the part nobody on the outside will ever believe. You're a person, and you're about to live through every single rank of the machine built to end you. From the moment the verdict lands to the 472nd step. Let's start at the beginning. The day the word guilty changed what you are. Level 1, the condemned. The word guilty doesn't sound like anything. That's what shocks you. You spent a year imagining that moment as an explosion, and instead, a tired man in a robe just reads a sentence off a page, and the bailiff's hand is already on your shoulder before your brain even catches up. You don't go back to a normal cell. You go somewhere else now, a wing they keep separate from everyone else, because you're not a prisoner anymore. Not exactly. A prisoner is someone with a future the system is trying to correct. You're something the system is just storing until the date. And here's the first thing nobody tells you. About a death sentence, it doesn't happen fast. You think you're going to die in weeks. The truth is, you're going to live down here in this exact routine for an average of 11 years, long enough that the man they execute will barely be the same person as the one they sentenced. The waiting isn't part of the punishment. The waiting is the punishment. Level 2, the number. Your world is now a box, 60 square feet. You are in it 23 hours a day. The 1 hour you get, you spend alone in a slightly larger cage. They call the yard. You develop rituals because ritual is how a human mind survives. A room with no time in it, you read. A lot of men down here become the most well-read people you'll ever meet. They arrive barely literate and leave. If leave is the word, having read 400 books. You learn the names of the guards. Some are cruel. Most are just tired, and a few, quietly, are kind. And you'll never forget the ones who treated you like you were still a person, because down here, that's rarer than sunlight, and you make a friend. The man in the next cell. You never see his face clearly. You talk through a wall for years about everything and nothing. He becomes the closest person in your life, which is its own special cruelty, because you both know exactly how this friendship ends. One of you is going to hear the other one walked down that hall, and there's a decent chance you'll be the one still listening. Level 3, the appellant. Here's the cruelest invention of the whole machine. Hope delivered on a schedule. You have appeals, layers of them, and each one is a lottery ticket where the prize is staying alive. A lawyer you mostly meet through glass files, motions you barely understand, and you learn to read the law obsessively because it's the only fight you have left. And every appeal does the same thing to you. It lifts you all the way up. Maybe this one, and then months later drops you off the same cliff. Denied. You ride that elevator up and down for years. Hope, then nothing. Hope, then nothing. And somewhere in there you understand why some men on the row actually stop appealing. Why they volunteer for the date. It's not that they want to die. It's that they can't survive being lifted up and dropped one more time. The hope is heavier than the sentence. Some men down here are innocent. Not many, but some. And the machine grinds them at exactly the same speed as everyone else. That's the thing that'll keep you awake. The system that's storing you does not have a different setting for we might be wrong. Level 4, the scheduled. Then, one day, it stops being an idea. You get a date. Everything changes when the date arrives. The guards get gentler. That's how you know it's real. You're moved to a cell even closer to the room. They ask you what you want for your last meal, and you sit there holding a small menu, and the absurdity of it nearly breaks you. After 11 years of the same tray, they want to know your preference. You get a phone. You start making the calls. And this is the rank where the machine reveals what it really is. Because the hardest part isn't your own fear. It's your mother's voice on the phone. It's realizing that the sentence was never just for you. They're executing a piece of everyone who ever loved you and making them watch and calling it justice. Your wall neighbor. Your friend of 6 years presses his hand flat against the shared wall the night before. You do the same from your side. Neither of you says anything. There's nothing to say. It's the closest thing to a goodbye hug. Level 5. The last day. The last day is the longest and the shortest day of your life. Time does something impossible. It moves too fast and refuses to move at all. You eat the meal. You may not taste it. A chaplain sits with you if you want, and you're surprised to find you do want, even if you stopped believing years ago, because at the very end, nobody wants the room to be empty. And here's the strange, quiet thing that happens to almost everyone who reaches this rank. The terror burns off. What's left underneath is calm, not peace exactly, just the stillness of a person who has finally run all the way out of things, left to be afraid of. You've been dying for 11 years. The execution is almost a formality now. The machine already did most of its work. In that 60-square-foot box, one empty day at a time, they come for you, and you count 472 steps. You were right. Level 6, the room. There's a rank above the condemned, and you never saw it coming. Because it isn't you. It's everyone watching through the glass. The victim's family is there. They came for an ending, for the closing of a wound that stayed open for over a decade. And here is the thing almost none of them expect. Most of them don't get what they came for. They're told this moment will bring peace, that it will balance the scale. And then it happens. Quietly and clinically in about 10 minutes, and the wound is exactly as open as it was before, except now there's a second body and no one to hate anymore. And just the long drive home. The machine promised them healing. It only ever had killing in stock. The guards are there, some of whom knew you for a decade, who now have to go home to their kids tonight. The chaplain, a few reporters. And in that room, at the very end, the strangest truth of the entire death row, machine finally stands exposed. Everyone present is a victim of it. The condemned, the grieving family it lied to, the workers it turned into instruments. There is no one in that room. The machine did not take something from, I'm not going to tell you what to. Think about the death penalty. People far smarter than me have argued it for centuries. And they're still arguing, and that argument isn't the point of what you just lived through. The point is smaller and harder. It's that every single person in that final room, the condemned, the family, the guards, the man behind the glass wall, walked in believing this moment would resolve something, and almost none of them walked out with what they came for. That's the thing the machine is built to. Hide behind its clean walls and its medical procedure and its 472 steps. That an ending and a healing are not the same thing. And confusing the two is how a society ends up with rooms like that one. You spent this video as the condemned, but the uncomfortable truth is that most of us are somewhere else in that room. We're the ones outside the glass, certain that if the worst thing happened to someone we loved, this would make it right. Maybe it would. Maybe you're stronger than the families who sat in those chairs and told reporters afterward that they felt nothing change. But that's the question worth carrying out of here. Not whether they deserve it, whether it gives you back the one thing you actually lost. 472 steps. You counted them so you'd have something that was still yours. In the end, it was the only thing that was.